Hi guys, I'm back. Just wanted to expound a little bit more on what I was speaking about Christmas. This is going to be second part of the first video that I was doing. Um, okay, basically, you guys, the celebration of Christmas is a mixture of pagan Babylon's mystery idolatry in its purest form, imported through Pergamos. You read in Revelations 2:13, chapter 2, verse 13, into Rome, and they're incorporated their pagan religious ritual, and from thence introduced into the world by the Roman Catholic Church as a commemoration of Hamashiach's Christ's birth. A wealth of proof can easily be produced today to put this fact beyond question. So if you guys will take time to actually research this stuff and look it up, the origins of Christmas and where it actually comes from, you're going to find the truth. And I know it's not going to be easy, but it's the truth. And I know a lot of people like to pass it off and say, well, we celebrate it because, we're honoring, Yahushua, Emmanuel. But guys, it's not even his birthday, and what are you going to do? Are you going to serve our Elohim, and then are you going to go and continue on with these traditions of men? It's freely admitted by all learned and honest writers of old that the date of Hamashiach, Christ's birth, it can't be known. How then do we think about, well, how did it come to pass that the Roman Catholic Church fixed December 25th as a day he was born? Kind of have to question some things. We have to first remember that Satan's chief objective has always been to claim honor and worship due to the Most High God, our Elohim. It's written in Isaiah, okay? How art thou cut down to the ground? How didst lay low the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the uttermost parts of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, and I will be like the Most High. Isaiah 14, 12, 13, 14. Okay, and keeping with these words of Isaiah, long centuries before the time of Hamashiach, Satan, in his bid for the worship due to Elohim, instituted a great pagan feast, which was celebrated at that exact time of the year in the Chaldean city of Babylon. Okay, this heathenistic celebration was in honor of the birth of Tammuz, or Bel, or Bacchus, who was the son of Semiramis, okay, or Cybele, or Rhea, the Chaldeans' queen of heaven. I know that a lot of Catholics may be familiar with this. Okay, now in Babylon, where the sun was worshipped, it was not worship as merely a light-giving divinity, but as like an incarnate God. I know a lot of people have seen like sun symbols on pyramids and things like that. It's because these ancient Egyptians, they worshiped the sun. They were sun worshippers. And one essential thing in this Chaldean worship was that Baal was the same God. Okay, so when Tammuz was worshipped as God incarnate, the implication was that he was an incarnation of the sun, or Baal. Okay, when Belshazzar was slain, and if you look at Daniel chapter 5:30, and the Chaldeans defeated by Darius and Mede, those with authority and power to continue Babylon's idolatrous mystery worship fled to the city of Pergamos. Okay, where afterward a Christian church was founded. Um, if you read in Revelations 2:13, there were for like many centuries. Satan himself brought about the worship of Esculapius, the child of the incarnate Son. Um, and actually, this worship was celebrated in to frantic excess of uh, evil, as Babylon's mystery idolatries were perpetuated in their exile. Then, of course, in the time at the death of Attalus III, when Priguria was given the Roman Empire in 133 BC, the worship of pagan Babylon was removed from Pergamius and its wicked course renewed in the city of Rome on the Tiber. Okay, now nearly every recorded form of pagan worship, which was descended from the Babylonian mysteries, focused the attention of its deluded worshippers on a mother god and the birth of her child. Okay, think Roman Catholic. They worship the Mother Mary, right? They pray to her. They pray to the saints. We're not supposed to be doing that. Okay, in Egypt, the mother and child were Isis and Osiris. In India, they were Isa and Iswara. In Asia, the mother was Cybele and the son Dionysus. In Greece, they were Ceres and her son Plutus. Even in Tibet and China, the mother was Xingmu, and her son was devotedly worshipped with her. Lastly, we have many records of the mother Fortuna, her son Jupiter in pagan Rome. In the worship of all these false gods, there has been more or less departure from the original Babylonian form. Only in the Roman Catholic Church can we find today the pure idolatry of ancient Chaldean mysteries, from the source that has emanated the greatest mystery, idolatry of all ages. Rome has given to the world this mother and child worship of wicked Babylon of old, concealed beneath the satanic disguise of commemoration of the birth of Yahushua HaMashiach, of Jesus Christ, Emmauel, you guys. So how did this come to pass? If you look at the 3rd century, when the apostolic church was in its infancy, grievous wolves had entered among the flock of Elohim, speaking perverse and evil doctrines. Okay, and slowly and cautiously at first, Acts 20:29. Okay, we're going to go back in history. They began to bring Rome's pagan worship among the believers. Constantine goes all the way back then. Constantine's false conversion and his edict making Christianity the state religion of the Roman Empire rapidly developed the imported paganisms in the worship of the fast decaying Church of Rome. Okay, he actually incorporated, because Constantine worshipped the sun. So he incorporated his pagan beliefs and lifestyle into Christianity. Okay, now Rome's way of converting the other pagans to her style of worship has always been to absorb them gradually. Okay, along with their idolatrous observances. So about the 4th century, the Roman Church brought the worship of Semiramis. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, guys. The Babylonish Queen of Heaven and her son Tammuz, into her ritual disguised as the worship of Mary and her son Yahushua, Jesus. Then followed the December 25th commemoration of the birth of HaMashiach, of Christ, and the evil institution of the Mass for Christ. And behold, the iniquity of Christmas was launched forth. The pagans Now in their apostate church, guys spoke about the church being apostate because we're believing in false beliefs, And so the apostate church could now worship the Queen of Heaven and observe the birth of her son, Tammuz, in a very deceitful way, guys. It's not blatant. But if you know the history behind it, then you'll understand what exactly is going on. Um, you know, the untaught, the unsuspecting believers thought that they were honoring Christ. A lot of people think they're honoring Hamashiach, okay, in this same ritualistic style, okay. The trail of Satan's Christmas festive ritual of it is counterfeit. It's counterfeit. It is what it is. This is what it is. From Babylon on the Euphrates to Pergamos, once the capital of Asia, to Rome upon the Tiber, and thence into the apostate church. There finally to emerge through the Roman Catholic Church, a flood of lying pagan wonders covering the earth. And it's deep. Faithful people of the Most High who knew and loved the scriptures of truth fought against the mingling of paganisms, guys, with the name of Hamashiach, with the name of Christ. They were very opposing of the entry of Christmas. Okay, Christmas hasn't always, in the purest form of a belief in Elohim. There was no mingling. It was just a pure simplistic. They take a simplistic belief and they twist it and turn it into something, and it becomes wicked. And if we're not careful, we get caught up into it, and we have got caught up into it. Okay. In spite of their efforts to stop this from happening, the lukewarm and the rapidly decaying church, with the expectation of a few faithful believers, was overcome and finally forced to submit to the observance of the mother and child worship from Babylon. And it's been a sad, solemn, spiritual and moral wreckage wrought by this Romish ideal, through the history of mankind, And in spite of the plain truths of the word of Elohim, revealing his hatred towards idolatry, folks, nearly all of the Protestant churches and assemblies of Christians and believers have followed Rome in her satanic observances and unholy celebrations of Christmas. Okay? Now, since the Roman Church, the Roman Catholic Church, is truly the Mystery Babylon, Mystery Babylon the Great of Revelation 17, and the Virgin in her sanctuaries, is the real and actual Chaldean Queen of Heaven, and her blasphemous representation of the birth of Hamashiach is in fearful reality a form of devil worship. How we should shrink from having any part of her heaven-defying wickedness. For some of us consider the sin of adultery a light thing, okay? But our Elohim does not. He doesn't. He has attached the greatest of all threatening to the commandment forbidding false worship. Listen to me now. He says, "Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is on earth beneath, or that is in the water under the water. Thou shalt not bow down thyself unto them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me." That's Exodus chapter 24 through 5. Listen. Shall we, who have been saved by the great grace of Elohim through the atoning blood of our Master, Yahushua HaMashiach, Jesus, who enjoy the liberties of a government founded by our Puritan fathers who themselves fled from Roman Catholic persecution. Shall we join false hands with the same false bloody Rome, who is daily adding to the fearful list of 50 million martyrs of Yahushua? So should we embrace and love and celebrate with Babylon the Great in her festivals of iniquity? I mean, should we continue to do so with our eyes wide open, knowing that her Christmas is, after all, just Satan's pagan mockery of the birth of our only Savior, Yahushua HaMashiach? And if, alas, too late, we awake suddenly to find the relentless judgments of Yahuwah, of our Elohim, bearing mightily down upon our nation and people, and we cannot discern his own hand in fulfilling his will for our lives, for our national sin of following Rome into her glittering sanctuary of Christmas and also Easter evils. What are we going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to serve the Most High? Are you going to go after the traditions of men? There's only one way we can go. There's only one road we can walk on. And if we're not careful, we'll definitely go down the wrong path. We'll definitely go down the wrong path. I pray today that you guys will take into consideration what I'm saying. Christmas is a pagan, has pagan origins, and it is a worship of paganism. Yahushua HaMashiach, Jesus, was not born on December 25th. A lot of people like to say, well, we celebrate his birth, and nowhere in the Bible does it state to celebrate his birth date. It just doesn't say that. And I'm going to give you another verse about Christmas. If you look at Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 3, 4, and 5. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. They are upright as a palm tree. They speak not. They must needs be born, because they cannot go. There's a lot of evidence here that points us in a direction that we shouldn't be worshiping this way. We shouldn't be holding on to these traditions. Like I said, nowhere in the Bible, in the word of Elohim, are we told to remember the birth of Yahushua HaMashiach. However, we are commanded to remember his death, both by Yahuwah himself in Luke 22, 18, 19, and by the Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians 11, verse 23 to 26. Surely, The heart of man must be far from the right with Elohim when it can enjoy itself greatly in doing exactly the opposite of his command. Yet many who pass before the world as believers gladly join the hilarious ungodly in celebrating the pagan festival of Christmas. Another thing I've noticed is that those who make the most of Christmas Day are those who care the least about the death and resurrection of Yahushua HaMashiach, and the day on which HaMashiach told us to remember his death, the first day of the week, the Lord's Day, okay, Yahuwah's Day. People are very willingly desecrate Yahuwah's Day with all manner of pleasure, seeking all sorts of open business places, every kind of secular work. Will forfeit all these with great zeal to attend some Christmas service or program in a church, or some other place. And then they go back to their, ungodly, unholy polluting of Yahuwah's Day until the next Christmas, when their conscience is aroused by festival emotion. They get a rush again to the altars of the Roman goddess of Babylon. If you've been taught by Yahuwah's Spirit, and how can you go in by these pagan celebrations? Can a believer take part in the idolatry of Babylon? How can you, who have been bought with his own blood, offer false worship to pagan God introduced among us by Satan's anti-Messiah? Can you, like Judas, betray HaMashiach by joining hands with them who hate him and blaspheme his atonement, yet falsely pretend to honor his birth in a festival of sin? Can you too enjoy the Romish paganry in your church and help crucify Yeshua afresh by putting him to an open shame and an idolatrous mockery of Christmas? I'm serious. I'm so serious about this. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. 1 John 2:15. Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Revelations 18:4. The giving of the gifts, the Bible accounts for celebrating the gift giving were done at someone's birthday party. Sin and evil prevailed and murder followed. Okay? In Genesis, on Pharaoh's birthday, the chief baker was hanged and beheaded during Herod's birthday celebration. John the Baptist was beheaded, preaching against sin. In Revelations 11, we read about how wicked people celebrated the slaying of Yahuwah's two faithful witnesses by making merry and sending gifts to one another. Okay, the two witnesses, they killed them, and they celebrated. They will celebrate. This is something to come. The two witnesses. The Holy Spirit, by the mouth of Paul, once said, "You observe days and months, and times and years. I am afraid of you, lest I have bestowed upon you labor in vain." Galatians 4:10-11. I believe that gifts can be great blessings, but you know what? A gift is of no value, whatever, unless it's given in love. Okay. Today, the common custom seems to be a gift giving at Christmas as part of a bargain to receive one. And those who give only at a time of a celebration of idolatry certainly are only doing so in arborance of the Almighty. But how much more then are they mocking Elohim and making themselves abominable to him? Who sends gifts to one another at such a time, a pretense of honoring the birth of his son? And you know what account shall these Christians give to our Elohim in the day of judgment, who have annually spent hundreds and even thousands of dollars upon Christmas presents out of their abundance, and yet have given little or nothing to support gospel work, or are in a land of people that are needy of things. You know, the godly or the holy wise men from the east gave their gifts to the child Yahushua, Emmauel himself, not to one another or to their friends. They gave to him from their hearts, moved by the Holy Spirit. Their gifts were a part of their worship of the newfound Messiah. Neither were their gifts common trinkets, but presents of great value, showing their heart's true love for their master. They didn't bring the Hamashiach, the Christ child, presents that they might receive from him something in return. You know, how far removed from the first gifts to the child, Yahushua, Emmanuel, God with us, is the modern cheap knick-knack giving of the fickle throne of Christmas revelers, you know, who annually submit themselves to all the festive responsibilities of gift purchasing, which is only a burden grievous to be borne. It's a worldly belief, the world and Christmas. Here's one thing, which, if it were the only thing that would prove to me that Christmas celebrating is not of Elohim, it's this: the world which hates Hamashiach and his blood atonement for sin respond as one man at the time to revel and feast and celebrate. If in reality December 25th was a date set by Elohim to remember the birth of Yahushua, the world would not have anything to do with it. There would be absolutely no response by the rank and file of mankind. You have to witness how the world does not regard Yahuwah's day, which is of Elohim. We take one day out of the week to worship him. Not many people regard it, but the world does regard the love of Christmas. Therefore, it's not of Elohim. For the natural man receiveth not the words of the Spirit of Elohim, of God. 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14. And how can we be obedient children of Elohim, or a church gathering, or a gathering of believers, and follow papal Rome and be drugged in a reeling world in their abominable idolatry and the sin of Christmas festivities? You know, I hope you guys take to heart what I'm saying, and just pray and meditate on what I'm speaking. And I hope that you also do your research, and I pray you all to be well.